we started in October of 2000. Times were bad. We started on borrowed space. A friend had some stuff he had some space in the data center, in fact, he and his brother, from a company that he and I had started before. He was still working on. And so we just kind of stuck HotOrNot in there and quickly realized that it wasn't going to work out because, in fact, we almost shut the site down because that first day, because I talked to Jim and said, hey, Jim, like, according to our current, on our first day, according to our current bandwidth consumption, this site is going to cost us about $100,000 a month, and it's doubling every, 5 hours or something like that, right? Now, that's not a good thing to hear when Jim was a grad student, he was getting his PhD at Berkeley, and I was like 60 grand in debt from going to business school and then saying, screw it, I'm not going to get a job. And so we almost shut it down, but what we ended up doing was, obviously, well, what would you do in that situation? Anyone have any ideas? Like, anyone?
Call your father.
Crazy ideas?
Credit cards.
Okay. Credit cards, but that you still ultimately owe that money, right? No, Jim, like I said, was a grad student. We got a machine and we stuck it in Berkeley. Like, we stuck it in Berkeley. Right? Like, it's in Berkeley, of course. Like, we're gonna, So I happen to have this free machine that we got from E-Trade by opening an account for, putting $1,000 in it back in the heyday, myfreepc.com or something like that. They gave us free PC. It's a very weak machine. But we drove up to Berkeley, we stuck it in Berkeley, and I remember that was at 5 in the morning we set that up. Around 8 o'clock in the morning, Jim gets a call from his advisor saying, what are you doing? The IT guy just came in and said that, you guys you're doing something weird and you're like sucking down like 16 megs of bandwidth. And so luckily Jim's advisor was the late Richard Newton, who was also involved with the founding of Cadence and was at Mayfield as a venture partner. So he was very entrepreneurial. So he said, okay, don't worry, I'll cover your back, but you guys got to get off. So he said he'll cover our back for a day or two. So then we thought, okay, God, we need money. What do we do? But in the meantime, we called rackspace.com, which is a managed host. And this was early in the days of managed hosting. And I told them, hey, listen, we have no money, but we're getting a ton of publicity. In fact, I'm on CNET News today, and then I'm going to be in the Wall Street Journal, and I knew that they wanted to go public from research. And I said, hey, you can't talk about your company, but I sure can. And so we basically worked a deal where they hosted us for free for the first year. And so basically, we did a lot of these kind of things in the early days of our company where we had no money, but we had something that someone who could give us what we needed wanted. So in that case, we had publicity, and that's what they wanted, and they had machines, and they scaled us for free. We did some other deals like that. Like, in the very beginning, we were hosting the pictures, and I remember thinking, God, that was our biggest bandwidth suck. That was our biggest cost driver. And I said, well, Jim, what if we just stuck them on Yahoo GeoCities and just like referred the imagery URL to there, so Yahoo can pay the bill? And we said, oh, good idea. So we did that. And so for the first, for very early on, for a while, Yahoo was paying our bills. But then we took that even a step further and said, hey, we have users who have digital cameras. Photo and Shutterfly want these guys. So we said, even better, why don't we kind of deal with them where we say, hey, if you have a digital camera, go put it on photo and they'll post your photo. And that's like a lead gen for photo. So we actually went from our biggest cost driver into something that was actually making money for us, right? There are all sorts of things that we did in the beginning that basically we got around ever needing to actually raise money because we cut all these funny deals. So anyway, I'll end all these stories with one quote that I can't remember who the hell said this to me, but it was so awesome. And I quoted this on my blog just 2 days ago. And if whoever it was is here, please let me know so I can give you proper attribution. But he said, creativity is what happens when you take a zero off the end of the budget. Right? And it's so true. We had no money at all. I mean, I guess lopping a zero off of zero is actually not really good. But the truth is, if you have less money, you will find a way. And awesome things will happen. Highly scalable things will happen. Things that will enable you to grow to large scale without needing too much money or anything. It really makes you more efficient. Okay. Something to be said about not having money.